Dr. As usual, exciting guest. We have Baruti, Omar Baruti in the studio with us. Dr. Talut El-Amin, and we're waiting for Dr. Kaia Naataanbuu. Caught up by the train, should be passing on through just shortly. But let us move forward. Glad to see you, brother. Baruti, Omar Baruti. Say hi to the audience. They've been waiting for you.
Good morning, good afternoon. Glad to be back to talk about Kwanzaa and some of the things we need to do in terms of Kwanzaa for our community.
All right. Also, we have, as usual, brother, comrade, Dr. Talut El-Amin. Yeah. Say hi to the people.
Hello, my beautiful audience.
Yes, sir. All right. Go ahead. Continue. Do not stop.
And to yourself.
Thank you. Thank you. We're waiting for the illustrious Dr. Kaia Naataanbuu. But in the meantime, Brother Baruti, I have noticed you're a skillful speaker. I enjoy hearing you speak. And you're skillful, you have had some training. You know, I detect that, you know, the brothers in Islam, they used to have silver tongues. You know, they could really speak. I detect that in your speaking. So it seems to me that this has been very instrumental in your work with Kwanzaa International. You've motivated and moved and inspired many people.
I try to reach the heart of our people's problems.
Yes.
Because as a people in America and throughout the world, we are in trouble.
Mm.
And because we're not gaining the kind of ground I'd like to see us gain, I speak to the pain of our people and to the hope for our future. And I've been doing this for a long time.
I can tell.
At one time I was the minister in the study group, Nation of Islam in Holly Springs, Mississippi, and then also a prison minister. And before that I was a Baptist Sunday school teacher.
Okay, come on.
And in the early years after graduating from Mormon College, I taught school 5 years, but I had the same concern that I saw children who are going nowhere. And sometimes when I reflect back, I believe that if we had done a better job as parents and as teachers, then we could have done a lot better job saving our children, but we didn't do that. And so I want to always make sure that I give back, whatever the cost, I give back. Because my children are going to be taught by other folk who need to give back to my children so they can help them get to where they need to be. But right now, our parents are in trouble and our children are in worse trouble.
Right. We as a people, we have a problem and we're in trouble.
Yes.
Let me ask another question. I want to go to Dr. Talut. My son lives in San Pablo, California. He's married to a Japanese. And talk with him all the time. This morning on my way to the station. And he said that the perception of a lot of people that Kwanzaa comes out of Africa. And they want to hear more about Kwanzaa. And let me interject this. Can it be surmised or extracted from the history by Dr. Karenga that some readers believe that some of these principles may also come out of Egypt as well from their work and their study. So can you say a few things about Kwanzaa?
Yeah, Kwanzaa is based on a celebration in Africa, the harvest.
Okay.
Where we come together as a community, gather the harvest, the fruits, the vegetables, and we do it together. And then we have a big feast.
Okay.
But the principles of Kwanzaa are what we celebrate as just human beings.
Human beings.
All over the continent and everywhere you go. Everywhere the European went, we were practicing these principles. That's why when he stepped his foot on any land that was owned and occupied by Africans or people of color, he always got a greeting that was very cordial, very welcoming. No malice, no guile. And that's just the way we are as a people. That's just our nature, the principles of Kwanzaa.
Okay. The nature of, that's our nature. The nature. Dr. Talut, put it in perspective for us so we can continue to go forward. Today's show, Kwanzaa, unity, all the... Go ahead.
Yeah, as I understand it, It's dated the economic side of Kwanzaa. It's about the business side today. But the thing is, if we all would reflect, we'll see that most of the nations around the world has a symbol that represents labor of some kind. Russia had the sickle in the harvest, a bunch of the grain, and other countries have other signs or symbols of labor. Okay, and most of our states in the United States of America, you will find symbols that represent trade, commerce, and labor. Now, and I said reflect because among ourselves, 43 million African Americans or Black Americans, we don't reflect on labor anymore, other than working for corporate America.
That's right. That's right.
See, we have concluded that the best quality of life is not working with our hands, but working for a check. Okay? That is an illusion.
That's right.
And that's why we're in trouble.
Go ahead.
Okay, we're in trouble because we've given up on labor, hard labor. We want the easy life. But the rest of the world says, no. We don't want the easy life. We want the hard life. Because out of the hard life and the labor comes real productivity.
Yeah.
Real value.
Okay.
And that's where we've lost, and that's why we're in trouble.
Yeah,
we've given up on that.
Right. We were looking at the news this morning, and after looking at some Egyptian history and the paintings and the like, and the statement was made that African Americans are the only nation, with the exception to the Brazilians, which in their problem is a little bit more productive or situation rather, than ours. So this illustrates the depth of the problem that we face, and sitting here at this table, as you so eloquently put it, Dr. Talut, three honorable men speaking truth. Okay, so Brother Baruti, can you take us a bit further? Let me ask you this though. You recall the program Great Debaters, starring Denzel Washington?
Yes.
What do you think about the idea of working with especially, well, females too, but young males at your center there in terms of putting together a program or a project to that effect?
Yeah, that would be great because we need to stimulate the thinking of our children. Because at some point in time, they're going to have to take charge of the ship and steer it on the proper course because we won't be here. And right now, we're not doing that. Not to the extent that we need to do it. But based on what my brother just said, just to come off with that. In the Black community, according to the Department of Commerce, somewhere around the year 2015, we will have somewhere around $1.3 trillion floating through our economy, the Black economy. And yet we are the most impoverished people in the world. We got Dr. Stovall from Russ College coming to speak today.
We'll be there.
He'll be there.
We will be there.
Oh,
right.
yes.
And then we'll be bringing someone else.
Yes.
Okay.
And see, his subject is diamonds at our feet. How can we escape the shackles of economic slavery? Because how do you have that much money going through your economy and you're still poor? You still got some of the highest unemployment figures in the country. I mean, some of the big cities, 40 and 50% Black male unemployment. But you have people that come in like, Fred's Dollar Store and Dollar General making billions of dollars off of us. The Koreans with the wig shops and the Chinese with the food services. They're making billions of dollars off of us. We can't make that money off ourselves.
Right, absolutely. Now, is it, something is wrong?
Yes.
Is it mental? And let me ask you, is it that what you just spoke of sounds like a disease of consumerism to me? A group of people who are more concerned with consuming over investing. Dr. Talut, take off on it.
Well, the point is, if you look through the Black community all across the United States, and I've been in many cities, in many states, our condition is the same.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, it's no different. You go to New York, California, South Texas, and up to Detroit, Michigan, you're gonna see the same people.
That's right. That's
We're
right.
like cookie cutter,
That's right.
a cookie cutter. Now, if you notice in our community, you'll find buildings that's empty. Nothing going on in them for decades. Nobody would take possession of those properties or buildings and convert them into anything. They just sit year after year, decade after decade. But then one day, an immigrant come in and take that building that's been there for decades and put a business in it and flourish. This points to the fact that we have given up on hard work. We've given up on the idea as a people that we can become productive and successful among ourselves. And in fact, we might be right. Why? Because the first thing that the average black person is going to do is boycott that business if a black person runs it or owns it.
And what
But
shape
years ago,
what shape does that take? What form does it take? When just not patronizing the business.
well, it's more than not patronizing.
Break it
business.
down for us.
It's a hatred.
Hatred.
It's a hatred.
Self-hatred.
It's a self-hatred,
Okay.
and what that means is this: there can be no productivity among us until we get beyond the hate.
Okay.
See, we can't just throw businesses up and think that our people gonna come and patronize. We can't put a grocery store in and think in our mind that our black folk gonna come buy the product.
Okay.
There's a self-hatred in black people that calls them to boycott. Not just, I don't want to go to that store. It's a conscious effort to boycott.
Okay.
And that's the effect of slavery, and that is, in my opinion...
Brother Baruti, look, seems like you want to jump in there. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to come back to that. You know, at the age of 23, as a Muslim in the Nation of Islam, I came, with this thing, I need to do something for myself. And so
Right.
at the age of 23, I had a grocery store in St. Louis, Missouri. And my biggest competitor was 4 blocks down the street. It was a supermarket.
Mm-hmm.
And what I did, I had 2 high school students to go there every weekend. And I wanted them to price shop.
Mm-hmm.
I gave them a list of about 300 items that we buy every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to make sure my item, same product, same brand, was cheaper than his.
Mm-hmm.
And even though they were cheaper, people had a problem buying from me.
Yes.
And now some things they would buy from me because of some revelation that said that there's something wrong with what I'm buying from him. For example, ground beef. My 2 young students would say that it says ground beef, it looks like ground beef, but on the sign it says ground meat.
Right.
And the complaint against the product was that, and I had many senior citizens say, we don't buy the ground beef from Kenmouth Supermarket because it don't turn brown in the skillet. And then once I talked to the butcher down there, here's what he told me. He said it is ground meat because what we do is we don't throw away expired hot dogs and bologna. It's expired hot dogs and bologna. That stuff is artificially colored red. And so what we do is we take that meat and we blend it in with ground beef.
Okay.
And then when you fry it in the skillet, it don't turn brown on the inside because it got red dye from
Right.
the other product that we ground it up with.
Right. That hot dog question is a serious question. We won't deal with it today, but at some point we will talk about that
Yes.
hot dog question.
Yes.
The illustrious Dr. Kaia Naataanbuu has arrived, and we're going to correct that problem about the train. After the show, we're going to deal with that.
Okay.
Dr. Kaia, how do you feel? Double question.
Okay.
And what is your thinking about your program, this year's program, going forward? Where are we today? Kwanzaa International and all the good stuff.
I'm happy you asked that question because I was just asked that question this morning. I received an early phone call for some feedback from last night's event.
Okay.
And to make it a quick assessment, it was said that, and this was my response to his question, was, how do you feel about last night? I said, oh, I was ecstatic. I felt like we have accomplished a lot more this year in terms of preparation, attendance, and it was a huge financial burden lifted off my shoulders because I was so consumed with making sure that the center was prepared, that we were making steps towards meeting these goals of offering the services that's needed in the community. So going forward in 2014, I said, my God, we are done. Everything is paid for in the center except for maybe about less than maybe $1,500 just to make sure that the computers are internet accessible. But we are financially, in terms of the center being paid for, much further along in terms of developing that so that we are prepared come 2014 to kick off these services. And I'm really excited about that.
Okay, very good. Can you tell us more about, some people want to know a little bit more about Kwanzaa. Are these terms powerful terms? And how do we've been talking about African Americans.
Okay.
And how do we why is Kwanzaa more beneficial than Christmas, especially for African Americans? Let me help you out just a little bit. I remember as a kid growing up, and Christmas was a time, if you didn't have certain things, or you were poor or whatever, it was a time for Great Depression. Kwanzaa is quite different in that sense. No time of depression because you don't have. Today what you see, and don't shut up, you see more crime today because everybody's crazy. African Americans crazy in that sense. I don't want to talk bad about my people, but you see crime, it's Christmas time, I gotta have something, I gotta steal something, I gotta take something, I gotta do something wrong, even if it's another African American. Take off on it from me, please.
Okay. Here again, that takes us back to the whole purpose of why we need Kwanzaa.
Yes.
First of all, the spiritual side of what Christmas is supposed to be about is definitely not there because it's being marketed to really promote the wealth of those who project and commercialize Christmas. If we took Christmas for the spiritual side of what it's supposed to do for mankind, then we wouldn't see any of this happening in our community because the pressure, that peer pressure of you having, even as children, you know, if you can remember, I know when Christmas morning, when we came out to play, the kids gathered around to talk about who got what, oh, I got this, and they rode their bicycles, even if it was a bag of new marbles. You know, they were very competitive in talking about what they received. During Kwanzaa, because we talk about the real truths and the issues that affect our community and why we're in the shape that we're in today, it takes away from that financial burden of trying to be accommodating. And unfortunately, but fortunately, I say unfortunately in that it falls during that time of the year when people are so consumed with meeting that commercial deadline of Christmas that they take away and forget the other side. Fortunately, we are right in tune with our people on the continent because this is the beginning of the birth of the new season and what is to come. So in that regard, that's why we are in a position, the best strategic position to embrace Kwanzaa because it sets the tone for what we need to be about spiritually in terms of the Nguzo Sovereign and those 7 principles, that we can get totally focused and have something to work towards throughout the year. And Memphis Kwanzaa, we will be taking each one of these principles and we're going to be starting out talking about unity and how we can take that definition of umoja and apply it to our everyday lives and our family and then broaden it to the community and then hook up internationally with our brothers and sisters abroad.
Okay, very good. One more question.
Okay.
Will you guys, and maybe we join in, be talking more about Kwanzaa even after the last day?
Yes.
Going forward, having some meetings and workshops and talking about unity and love and how not to be insane?
Yes, I think it's desperately needed. I think we need to continue on with a series of dynamic discussions because, and not only that, but we do have a plan. Good. You know, we can talk about what the problems and all of that, and if it's just chit-chat, then that's, you know, if it dies down, what's the point?
Yes, right.
So, you know, once you become in the knowledge of self and what you need to do, then it's what you do is what's important. So we do have a plan, and I guarantee you, if you embrace those principles of the Nguzo Saba, it will guide your life. It would inspire you to be the best citizen that you can be, the best father model in the community, in your family, the best mother, sister, brother. It will take on a whole new attitude in your mental approach, in your social approach to the problems and the issues of solving them in our community. And this will start with the Memphis Kwanzaa Culture Health and
Okay,
Education Center.
who's next?
You know, what I would like to see
Okay, go ahead.
in this new year is the churches embrace Kwanzaa. Because every one of these principles is something that every Christian, every Methodist of any stripe, everybody who claims to be a follower of Jesus should be trying to adhere to. And if the churches would embrace Kwanzaa, then they could cut out a lot of the madness that happens when you've got a church in every corner but a community in peril.
Dr. Talut?
Yeah, and I agree 100%. And one of the things is about our people, across the board, all 43 million, we kind of think with a one-track mind. We believe in our hearts that, you do one thing, then you do another thing, then you do another thing. But the rest of the world are multifaceted.
Yes.
They do thousands of things at one time,
Yes.
hundreds of things at one time. Okay? So the point is, Kwanzaa should be one of those things
Yes.
that we actually take an active role in.
Yes, yes, yes.
It's just one of them, and there should be hundreds of more. Okay, but we have to get away from that thinking, that linear thinking, one thing at a time. No, we have to be multifaceted. We have to understand that life is huge and as broad as the universe. Okay, so we need to undertake Kwanzaa.
Expand our thinking. Hey, Alan, are you still on the line?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Good.
Well, you have a great degree of patience. since that's the case, go ahead. we have 5 more minutes, but I want Dr. Kaia to have the last word. So take a minute or so, Alan. Go ahead.
Yeah, very quick. Yeah, how you doing? Check this out. When we took out our motherland, we were rulers. Even the Bible said, even with Kwanzaa, we are strangers in this land.
Yes, sir.
How can you be a ruler if you're a stranger? When you think about Christianity, God is not of the unknown. He's of the knowing. And that's why I said in Africa, that continent hasn't fell apart. And a lot of us rulers over there. They brought us here, they destroy families, they destroy our tribes and all our history. Now, when I see another African-American brother, he's a stranger to me. Now, like Kwanzaa, how can, like, Brother Obama promote Obamacare? Which one is the hardest, promoting Kwanzaa or Obamacare? We are fearful of each other because we're strangers to each other. And y'all have a happy new year. That's the bottom line. The Bible says that we are strangers in this land, the other land. They come us from the motherland.
Okay, thank you, Alan.
All right.
Dr. Kaia?
To Brother Allen, I just want to share with you that the same problem that happened to us happened to our people at home. And so slavery, not only did it just, the only difference is we were just put on the slave ships and brought here. But at one time when the earth was whole, there was no separation between the Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. Our people roamed the earth, lived and ruled in harmony, in total harmony. We gave the world civilization. So if we are unknown to each other, it's because of lack of knowledge of self, and to know that who your brother is and who your sister is. And that's why you need to be embracing Kwanzaa. And for all the Christian listeners in the world and all the Muslim listeners in the world, we need to just put our religion on hold. As Malcolm said, make it personal. Keep it with you in the closet.
Yeah, that's right.
And
in fact, he said put it on the shelf.
Put it on the shelf, because
at least for right now.
For right now. and let's get some consciousness about who we are and have some new attitudes to set some better example for our children.
That's right.
Right.
But on the last note, before we close out, we're having Kwanzaa this evening. Doors are open at 6 at the Memphis Kwanzaa Culture, Health and Education Center. Make sure you come out. It's open free to the public. Bring your children because they need to see that there is the greatness still within us and it resides in the community.
And he's talking about the diamonds this evening. We're going to be there. We're going to bring some people with us.
Oh,
but thinking about the expansion of the mind in the world, and when we look at world history, we see it's difficult to tell what was what and who was who. But Africans, as I understand it from reading history, have always been here. It's like the book Jonathan Livingston Seagull by Robert Bach. And Jonathan couldn't fly. He practiced and he practiced and he practiced, and he became able to fly higher and higher and higher. And every time he got to a new plane, there were already seagulls there flying, continuing to fly higher and higher. So in other words, our mind must be expansive, broad, and unlimited. And let's see, we have two more. Oh, we got lots of time. We've got 2 minutes. Who wants to go next? Brother Baruti.
Yes, sir. Today we're going to be having a rich program. Dr. A.J. Stovall from Russ College will come and deliver our keynote speech. And the problem that we face, we can solve every problem that we face as a human family inside of ourselves.
Yes.
We don't need a welfare program. We don't need any kind of program.
Yes.
They already cutting food stamps. Welfare is coming next. We can do everything we have with just the resources we already have. We are rich, intelligent people. Half of NASA is dominated by black scientists.
Mm-hmm.
The world, everything we do in the world, black people had a hand in it. Everything,
Okay.
including the internet. They built the internet. They built the cell phone.
Okay, here's a question just popped in my mind. Dr. Talut, how important in the spectrum of things of life, growth, and human development is the process of internal, individual, personal self-examination? In other words, checking my motives, my attitude, and my action, my deeds. How important is that?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, we need to accept the fact that God only helps those who help themselves.
Yes, sir. Yes,
That's
sir.
the first.
Yes.
So if you don't do anything to help yourself, you don't get God's help.
That's right.
So you're
God
saying
can't
nothing.
help you.
So you're saying last Sunday you said no one is coming.
No one is
So
coming.
now you're saying nothing is going to happen.
Nothing. Zero. Zero. Nothing's gonna happen until
That's
one
right.
changes
That's right.
his or her attitude.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
Okay. Then God steps in
That's right.
and start helping.
That's right.
So that applies to the whole 43 million people.
That's right.
If the 43 million people don't do anything to help themselves, you can't call on God to help you. Okay,
All
so
right, very good.
yeah.
We're about out of time, and Brother Isaac, we're waiting on you. I love